Jay's hand tightened on the leash, a subtle movement that spoke volumes. The K9 unit's quantum-linked muscles tensed, ready to launch into action. One wrong move could transform the peaceful spaceport into a scene of chaos. Jay's cybernetic eye continued its rapid threat assessment. Wind patterns, structural integrity of the surrounding platforms, potential civilian casualty rates, all calculated in microseconds. His military training wasn't just about combat, but about prevention and protection. The twin suns of New Terra continued to burn, indifferent to the human drama about to unfold. Something was going to break, and Jay knew exactly how this would play out. End of Part 1. The narrative carefully balances tension, technological description, and human emotion, creating an engaging setup for the conflict to come. It introduces the characters, setting, and underlying tensions while maintaining a natural, human-centric approach. Would you like me to proceed with expanding the next part in a similar style? The K9 unit moved with impossible speed. Its muscular frame launched forward, quantum-linked muscles propelling it faster than any traditional biological weapon. But Jay was already moving, his response a blur of calculated precision. Years of military training hadn't just taught him combat. They'd transformed him into a living sensor system. His cybernetic eye tracked the dog's trajectory with microscopic precision, calculating multiple potential intercept points before the animal had traveled 3 meters. The spaceport around them seemed to slow down. Holographic displays flickered. Nearby colonists froze, their breath caught between anticipation and terror. The genetically modified K9 represented the pinnacle of colonial security technology, a living weapon designed to neutralize threats in microseconds. But Jay wasn't a typical target. His left hand moved first, not to strike, but to redirect. Military trainers had taught him that combat wasn't about pure strength, but precision and understanding of momentum. The cybernetic implant in his wrist activated, creating a momentary electromagnetic field that disrupted the dog's neural tracking system. The massive animal's leap became slightly uncontrolled, a fraction of a second, but in combat, a fraction was everything. Jay's boot found a perfect pivot point on the metallic platform. His body twisted, using the dog's own momentum against it. It was a dance of physics and training, learned through years of peacekeeping missions on humanity's most dangerous frontier worlds. Nearby, automated defense systems began to activate. Slim robotic sentries emerged from hidden compartments, quantum sensors scanning the developing conflict. But Jay was faster than any automated response. His right hand moved with surgical precision. A nerve cluster, a specific point of muscular tension, the kind of knowledge you don't learn in standard military training, but through years of specialized close combat techniques developed in humanity's most challenging conflict zones. The K9 unit's massive body twisted mid-air. Its adaptive camouflage skin flickered, confusion replacing its previous predatory intensity. Jay's intervention wasn't about destruction, but controlled neutralization. A holographic warning system began broadcasting, automated protocols detecting potential violence. Alien merchants nearby activated personal force fields, crystal-like, energy barriers shimmering into existence. The spaceport's carefully maintained peace seemed about to shatter, but Jay's movement told a different story. With minimal effort, he redirected the dog's massive body. No unnecessary violence, no permanent damage, just pure calculated intervention. The animal crashed into a nearby cargo container, momentarily stunned, but unharmed. Dae Kim stood frozen. His engineered weapon, a product of humanity's most advanced genetic modification technologies, had been completely neutralized in less than 3 seconds. The spaceport returned to life. Holographic displays reset. Robotic sentries retracted. The brief moment of potential violence dissolved like morning mist under New Terra's twin suns. Jay's cybernetic eye finished its tactical assessment. Threat neutralized. 0 civilian casualties. Minimal platform damage. Optimal outcome achieved. Around him, colonists began whispering, who was this guard? How could he move like that? The stories would spread faster than any official report. Tales of the Royal Guard who could stop a genetically modified weapon with less effort than most people would use to swat a fly. Dae Kim's face transformed. Confusion, anger, a dawning. Realization that the man he'd tried to intimidate was something entirely different from what he'd expected. The K9 unit whimpered, its advanced neural systems trying to reboot. Sophisticated technology, defeated by human skill, developed through years of real-world experience. New Terra's spaceport returned to its usual rhythm, but something had changed. A statement had been made, not through violence but through controlled, precise intervention. Jay adjusted his Royal Guard uniform. Another day. Another potential conflict resolved. End of Part 2. Would you like me to continue with the next part in the same engaging style? The colony's central database began humming with activity. Quantum processors deep beneath the administrative complex started churning through decades of archived military records, peeling back layers of Jay Park's carefully maintained anonymity. Colonel C. Kang, the senior colonial investigator, leaned back in her ergonomic control chair. Holographic displays danced around her, each screen revealing fragments of a complex narrative. The incident at the spaceport was more than just a simple confrontation. It was a window into something much larger. "Run deep scan protocol," she muttered to her AI assistant. Classified military files began to unpack themselves. Missions that had been buried so deep they were almost mythical started to surface. Peacekeeping operations on distant frontier worlds. Humanitarian interventions in zones where conventional military strategies had completely failed. Jay's service record wasn't just impressive, it was extraordinary. The quantum database revealed missions that read like impossible stories. Conflict. Resolution on the methane oceans of Titan IX. Diplomatic interventions among silicon-based lifeforms in the Andromeda research corridors. Negotiations with sentient machine collectives that most humans didn't even know existed. Each mission told a story of remarkable restraint and strategic thinking. Jay wasn't just a soldier. He was a specialist in preventing conflicts before they could even begin. Colony surveillance systems had captured every millisecond of the spaceport encounter. Advanced AI analysis began breaking down Jay's movements. Each frame revealed layers of calculated precision that went beyond standard military training. His combat technique was a hybrid, combining traditional martial arts with quantum-enhanced situational awareness. The way he had neutralized the K9 unit wasn't just skill, it was an art form. Nearby communication networks began buzzing. Rumors spread faster than official reports. The Royal Guard, who could stop a genetically modified weapon with minimal effort, was becoming a legend. Young colonists in virtual discussion rooms started sharing enhanced video clips. Slow-motion replays of Jay's intervention became viral content. His movements studied, discussed, admired. Colonel Kang discovered something even more interesting. Jay had multiple commendations that had been deliberately kept out of standard. Military records, classified interventions that had prevented entire planetary conflicts, diplomatic missions so sensitive that most government records had been completely scrubbed. The K9 unit itself became a subject of investigation. Advanced genetic analysis revealed modifications that went beyond standard colonial security protocols. Someone had invested significant resources into creating a weapon that was more than just a simple attack dog. Dae Kim's background also came under intense scrutiny. His financial records, communication logs, planetary movement history, everything was being systematically examined. The man who had tried to start a conflict was now becoming a focal point of a much larger investigation. The spaceport incident was transforming from a simple confrontation into a complex narrative about colonial tensions, advanced technologies, and the hidden stories of those who protect humanity's expanding frontiers. Holographic reconstructions began populating research chambers. Experts from multiple disciplines started analyzing every aspect of the encounter. Quantum physicists, behavioral analysts, military historians, all found something fascinating in those few seconds of interaction. Jay Park remained unaware of the complex machinery now focused on understanding his background. For him, it had been another day of doing his job, protecting, preventing, maintaining the delicate balance of colonial society. The twin suns of New Terra continued to burn outside, indifferent to the complex human drama unfolding in countless digital and physical spaces. Something significant was brewing, and it had started with a simple confrontation at a busy spaceport. End of Part 3. Here's an expanded version of Part 1 with the requested specifications. The scorching twin suns of New Terra colony cast long shadows across the metallic landing platform. J. Park adjusted his Royal Guard uniform, the lightweight nanofiber fabric, shifting seamlessly with his movements. Around him, the bustling spaceport hummed with activity, cargo shuttles docking, interstellar merchants haggling, and holographic displays flickering with arrival and departure information. A massive transport ship slowly descended, its anti-gravity engines creating rippling heat waves across the landing zone. Colonists of various backgrounds streamed out, some human, some hybrid, a few alien species barely recognizable to the untrained eye. Jay's cybernetic eye implant scanned the crowd, running background checks and threat assessments in milliseconds. Kim stood near the edge of the platform, his weathered face a map of frustration and barely contained anger. He wasn't like the other colonists who had adapted to the multicultural environment of New Terra. His hands gripped the leash of a genetically enhanced K9 unit, a massive beast that looked more like a wolf crossed with a small ground vehicle than a traditional dog. The animal was a recent modification from the Titan genetic labs, its muscular frame covered in adaptive camouflage skin that could change colors and textures faster than the human eye could track. A product of advanced genetic engineering, the dog represented the latest in colonial security technology, ironically designed to protect, yet currently weaponized by someone with malicious intent. Jay noticed the tension immediately. His years of military training had honed an instinct for potential conflict that went beyond simple visual cues. The way Day's muscles tensed, how his hand gripped the leash just a fraction too tightly, the micro-expressions of contempt that flickered across his face, all told a story of incoming trouble. A nearby holographic announcement flickered, a routine message about colony regulations and interspecies cooperation. The irony wasn't lost on Jay. New Terra was supposed to be a melting pot of human potential, a place where past prejudices would melt away like morning frost under the twin suns. The K9 unit began to growl, a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the metal platform. Its eyes, enhanced with quantum-linked retinal implants, locked onto Jay with predatory intensity. Genetically modified animals were unpredictable, a perfect reflection of the colony's complex social landscape. Day's voice cut through the spaceport. Noise. "Hey you!" he shouted, his accent thick with years of colonial isolation. "This area is for registered colonists only." Jay remained calm, his posture relaxed but ready. He'd dealt with worse in the deep space conflict zones. The K9 unit's muscles coiled ready to spring. Its adaptive skin began shifting, preparing for potential combat, a living weapon waiting to be unleashed. Around them, other colonists began to notice the building tension. A group of young traders paused their conversation, holographic trading displays still flickering between their hands. An alien merchant with crystalline skin adjusted its protective field, sensing potential conflict. The moment stretched like a drawn bowstring. "Would you like me to continue with the next part in the same engaging style?" The Colonial Council chamber erupted with tension. Holographic projections flickered, displaying the spaceport incident from a dozen different angles. Representatives from multiple planetary districts leaned forward, their faces a mix of concern and fascination. J. Park sat quietly, seemingly unaffected by the storm of attention surrounding him. His calm demeanor stood in stark contrast to the heated discussions happening around him. The massive circular chamber, designed to host interplanetary negotiations, now focused entirely on a single incident. "This is more than just a confrontation," announced Senior Counselor Huang, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "This reveals deep-rooted systemic issues within our colonial security framework. Advanced translation algorithms worked overtime, converting her words into dozens of human and alien languages simultaneously. The incident had become more than a local event. It was now a galactic conversation. Data streams from multiple planetary networks began converging. Social analysis algorithms tracked public sentiment, revealing a complex tapestry of reactions. Young colonists celebrated Jay's measured response, while older conservative factions questioned the implications of his background. The K9 unit's genetic logs became a focal point of investigation. Researchers discovered modifications that went beyond standard security protocols. Someone had invested massive resources into creating a weapon that blurred the lines between biological engineering and advanced military technology. Quantum holographic displays began reconstructing Jay's entire service history. Missions that had been classified for decades suddenly became visible. Humanitarian interventions in zones where conventional military strategies had completely failed. Diplomatic resolutions in environments that would have destroyed lesser-trained individuals. We're looking at a systemic failure of our current screening and integration processes, explained Dr. Yoon, a leading social dynamics researcher. Her holographic projection showed complex network diagrams revealing underlying colonial tensions. The spaceport incident had become a microscope, revealing intricate social dynamics that most colonists preferred to ignore. Prejudice, technological disparity. The complex relationships between those who protect and those who feel threatened. Artificial intelligence systems began generating predictive models. Each simulation showed how a different response from Jay could have escalated the situation. His intervention wasn't just a personal choice, it was a calculated decision that prevented potential large-scale conflict. Colonial communication networks buzzed with activity. Virtual discussion rooms, interplanetary news feeds, academic research, channels, all focused on understanding the deeper implications of this moment. Dae Kim's background became a case study. His financial records, communication logs, and psychological profiles were systematically dismantled. The investigation revealed a complex narrative of personal frustration, economic displacement, and misguided anger. This isn't about an individual. Dr. Yoon continued, "This is about the systemic challenges of creating a unified colonial society." Robotic archivists began compiling a comprehensive report. Every piece of data, every millisecond of the encounter, was being preserved for future historical analysis. This was more than an incident. It was a potential turning point in colonial social development. The quantum processors beneath the council chamber worked tirelessly, analyzing, predicting, understanding. Humanity's expansion into the galaxy wasn't just about technological achievement, it was about understanding complex social dynamics. Jay remained silent, a living testament to years of training, discipline, and a profound understanding of conflict prevention. Outside the council chamber, New Terra's twin suns continued their eternal dance. Spacecraft moved between orbital platforms. Alien merchants conducted their intricate trade negotiations. Life continued, transformed by a moment of extraordinary intervention. The systemic revelation was complete. What had started as a simple confrontation at a spaceport had become a catalyst for broader understanding. Something fundamental had changed, and it had happened in the span of a few extraordinary seconds. End of Part 4. Would you like me to continue with the final part of the story? The Rehabilitation Center stood like a gleaming monument of hope against New Terra's horizon. Dae Kim sat within its transparent walls, surrounded by advanced neural recalibration technology that promised more than just punishment. It offered genuine transformation. Quantum rehabilitation programs weren't about breaking individuals. They were about understanding the root of human conflict, rebuilding perspective, and reintegrating individuals into a complex, multicultural society. Holographic counselors moved around Dae, their translucent forms presenting a mix of psychological analysis and compassionate intervention. Each session peeled back layers of generational trauma, economic frustration, and misplaced anger that had driven his previous actions. "Your experience isn't unique," explained the primary neural counselor. but your response can be. Meanwhile, Jay Park had become something unexpected. His handling of the spaceport incident transformed him from a simple royal guard into a symbol of measured professional response. Colonial training academies began using his intervention as a primary case study for conflict resolution. Young cadets studied every millisecond of his encounter, not as a combat demonstration, but as a masterclass in preventing violence. His ability to neutralize a threat without causing permanent damage became a new standard of professional conduct. The genetic research surrounding the modified K9 unit revealed a darker narrative. Illegal modification networks had been developing weapons that pushed the boundaries of ethical genetic engineering. Day's attack was just one potential manifestation of a much larger underground technological ecosystem. Colonial security forces began a comprehensive review of genetic modification protocols. The incident had exposed vulnerabilities that went far beyond a simple confrontation at a spaceport. Quantum communication networks spread Jay's story across multiple planetary systems. His background, carefully hidden for years, became a beacon of hope, a demonstration that professional training could overcome deeply ingrained social tensions. The rehabilitation program for Day wasn't just about punishment. It was a comprehensive reconstruction of personal perspective. Advanced neural recalibration. Technologies worked to understand the complex social and economic factors that had created his anger. Holographic simulations allowed Day to experience multiple perspectives. He walked through reconstructed scenarios, understanding the human impact of his previous actions. Each simulation was designed to build empathy, not shame. "You're not being punished," the neural counselor explained. "You're being given an opportunity to understand." Jay's military records, once classified, began telling a broader story. Humanitarian missions in conflict zones, diplomatic interventions that had prevented entire planetary wars, a career built on preventing violence, not celebrating it. The Colonial Council used the incident as a catalyst for broader social reforms. New training programs for security personnel, enhanced cultural integration workshops, a systematic approach to addressing the underlying tensions that create conflict. Robotic archival systems began compiling a comprehensive report, not just about the incident, but about the broader social dynamics of human colonial expansion. Each piece of data became a potential lesson for future generations. On the orbital platform surrounding New Terra, alien traders discussed the incident. For them, it was a fascinating glimpse into human social complexity, a demonstration of the intricate ways humans resolved internal conflicts. Day's rehabilitation continued. Neural recalibration technologies worked to rebuild, not destroy, to understand, not condemn. Each session was a journey of personal reconstruction. The twin suns of New Terra continued their eternal dance. Spacecraft moved between planetary orbits. Life continued, transformed by a moment of extraordinary human potential. What had started as a simple confrontation had become a turning point, a moment that revealed the complex, beautiful potential of human society. Resolution wasn't about winning or losing. It was about understanding. End of Part 5.